Excel is the #1 business tool in the world. Okay, so it probably has about like 85 or 90% adoption. It's like really huge and really cool, and you can do a lot of things with Excel. For example, let's say we wanted to track Looney Tunes soccer here. Okay, so here's all Looney Tunes and what they did. So basically, I just got, I figured anybody, can score between like 0 and 2 goals per game, and basically just set up some random block that kicked out between 0 and 2. Okay, for each game, they had 5 games, and we're able to figure out the minimum and the maximum, and then the sum and the average just by using formulas and functions. It was like really quick to do that. I mean, it took me like, 5 minutes to put this together. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. Okay, so does anybody else have anything, that maybe their kids are in some sports program that they track, like baseball or Little League or anything like that? The track scores, or maybe they track time that each kid plays, so that's like everybody, everybody kind of gets a shake at playing and everything. So something to think about. All right, so actually let me start up the thing. So let's kick off then our discussion of Excel here. Let's kick off our discussion of Excel. All right, so then so when we create, so we go into Excel and we click New, what do we create? Does anybody remember from the reading and from the homework what we create? So for right now, I'm going to go in, I'm going to say File, New, okay, and then look what we're going to create right here. What's this thing called right here? Workbook. Okay, so we have 2 terms we're going to discuss. One is workbook. The other one is does anybody know? So what's this say down here? Sheet. Okay, so this is a sheet. Okay, so we have a workbook that can have multiple worksheets in it. Okay, so that's the relationship, that every worksheet is in a workbook, and one workbook can have many worksheets. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. So as usual, anytime we create something, we're going to, save this as, and on these computers we have 2 desktops, so it gets kind of a bit confusing here. But you always want to save it up in this like desktop up here. I'm just going to call this in class. Okay. So then now we have this worksheet. Okay. So then what's some of the things we have? So let's talk about this whole worksheet here. So at the top, what do you guys see? The ribbon, right? So that ribbon looks a lot like what? Word, right? And we said that is all because it's all these applications are part of the Office suite, right? So it's part of that Office suite. Because it's part of the Office suite, then you have the integration where you can take a chart and move it into a Word document. You can take a chart and move it, or a spreadsheet, and move it into PowerPoint. All these are integrated because of this, because they're all within a suite. And for the most part, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, the ribbons look the same. We get to Access. Access was an acquisition, and they really didn't have the ability to make it look like the others. So it kind of looks like the other programs, but not really. But that's once we get to Access. Okay, so then let's talk about this right here. So if we look at this, then we have what? A whole bunch of what here? Okay, so we have cells. Good. So tell us about a cell, Brittany. Tell us about a cell. Okay, so even before we talk about what goes in a cell, tell me about a cell. So a cell is an intersection of a what and a what? Column and a row, right? Good. Okay. So on this one, what particular cell are we in, Brittany? Give me two ideas of what, or how do you know what cell we're in?
Well, the column is B.
Okay.
You know that because it's kind of like
okay, good. Excellent.
the outline one is cell and the one is 4.
Excellent. Good. So we were in B4. Is there another way we know that we're in B4? I'll give you a hint. If you look into the upper left, you might see a hint.
Yeah, there's a little box with the arrow.
Okay.
Under clipboard, and it says B4.
Excellent. Good. All right. Good job, Brittany. Good. All right. So good. So everybody here, Brittany. So we know we're in B4, okay, because a B is highlighted and a 4 is highlighted. A cell is an intersection of a row and a column, and we also know that we're in B4 because we look in that upper left name box. We're going to see it in here. Okay. Here's another thing up here at the top. Anybody know what this is called? The formula bar. So it has a tip up there. Okay. So what can we do in our formula bar? I'm sorry?
You can see everything that's inside the cell.
You can see everything in the cell. All right. So keep pulling that thread, Chad. So what is that? What does an X, check, and FX mean? You know?
FX is to turn on and off formulas.
Okay. So that'll get a formula. That'll pull a formula in there if we want.
The check was, I don't remember.
Okay. And the X. So let's do this. Let's type something in here, and let's see what happens. Okay. So if we hit this X, cancels it out. Okay. If we put JKL, and if we put this check, then it does what? Saves it. It enters it in there. Okay. So then the other thing we have down here is in this bottom left-hand corner, we have the status of the cell. So for example, if I go into cell A1 here, it says what? It says ready. Okay. It says ready. Okay. And then watch what happens when I click into this formula bar, or if I just type equals in here. Okay, now what did it change to? It changed to enter. Okay, so now it knows that we went from ready. Now we're entering text. And then once we commit this, equals 9. Okay, and once we do this, it does what? We go down to the next cell. Okay, we go down to the next cell. Okay, and now if we go in here, watch, it says ready. And now watch what happens if I click in the formula bar. Okay, does it say enter or it says what now? It says edit. Okay, because we already had something in that cell, it's now saying edit. Okay, it says edit because we already had something in there. Okay, so we have columns, rows, cell locations. And then if we look around here, we're going to see that we have a couple different views. We have normal view. We have page lookout view. Okay, so it's once you get to a cell, once you commit it, then you go into these guys. We have page layouts, and this is going to be what the page looks like, and we can easily add headers in here. And then we also have the page break preview, and this shows you how the page will look if you printed it out. Okay? All right, cool. All right, so, and then how big is our spreadsheet right now? How big is it? So how big is a spreadsheet? Anybody pick that up from the book? Is it just these cells right here, or can I go to the right? Okay, keep going to the end, and how can I go to the end, like to the right, like a page at a time? Anybody know? Okay, so this might be a good shortcut for you guys to write down here. If we do Alt plus page up, or to the right. Am I in there? Alt. Let's see. All right, so if I go Alt page down, I'm going to go 1 to the right. Okay, so you see how I went from AA, so all these go from A to Z, and then once we get to Z, it goes AA to AZ. Then it goes BA to BZ. Okay, so if you do Alt, and then if you do page down, you go to the right. Okay, so I can keep doing this for a while, or if I want to, I could just do Control and an arrow, and I get all the way to XFD. Does anybody know how many columns that is over? It's like 16,384 columns over. So even though we see that little bit, this goes 16,000, every worksheet goes 16,000 columns to the right. Okay? What about down? How far does it go down? And we do control down, look at this. Everybody see that? 1,048,576 rows. Okay? So even though you see this little bitty spreadsheet, this thing is massive going to the right and massive going down. Okay? Another good shortcut is wherever you're at in here, if you do Control plus Home, that's going to take you, well, actually, let's go over a little bit. Let's say if we go over, and we're in XCW, if we go home, this is going to take you to the leftmost column in that row. So if we do Home, it took us all the way back to A. Okay? So Home, if you're in a row, will take you all the way back to column A. Okay? Okay? And then if we do Control Home, that takes us back to cell A1. Okay? So let's let you guys drive around a little bit. I'll let you guys drive around a little bit and then play with some of these things. So the first thing you want to do is launch Excel, and then go create a new workbook. Okay, so just it's on your desktop, or you can do the start and go to Excel right there. Excel, that's another way to get there. Okay, so everybody's going to launch Excel and then go create a blank workbook. Okay, so you're going to go and create a blank workbook. And once you do that, then play around with the like the Alt key and the Control key and the arrows and the page up and the page down and see what happens. And those are all shortcuts that you'll want to do. Okay, so Alt, page down, takes you to a screen to the right. As many times you do that, that'll take you screens to the right. And then once you're over to the right, you can do Alt, page up, and that takes you screens to the left.
So say you're using documents, but all your information is here.
Okay.
So say you didn't even use any of this.
Okay.
You go down here. Is there a way of going directly back to just where you have information, or?
Yeah. So if you do that and just do Control up arrow, that should take you to the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yes. So just Alt and then page right. Page up and down right here. Page up and page down. But you're committed in a cell because now you're typing. So you got. So there you
Get
go.
out of there?
Yeah.
So now do it.
Now do it.
All page down. All page
Yep. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay.
Now you're going to pages on.
Yeah. Macs get all funky. Yeah, there's shortcuts, but I forgot what the shortcuts are. If you just play with them, there's some shortcuts in there, but they're a little bit longer. Yeah. All right, so do the arrows, do the controls. Okay, so everybody familiar with that? All right, cool. All right, so let's look at. Now that you guys have played, so anybody have any questions on this? Do any shortcuts? And look at the attendance today. You guys are doing great today. Thank you. Look at this. So Earl's here. Brandon's here. Yuta. Andrew, no Andrew. Brian's here. And Gregory. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so let's do this. Let's start entering some data. So one of the things we'll do a lot of times is work with numbers. Okay, so let's create a budget. Okay, let's create a budget. Let's do like the budget for this quarter. Okay, so like in a quarter would be what? 3 months. Okay, so what month will we cover now for this one? For this quarter? January, February, March. Okay, so we cover January, February, March. What we will typically do is a lot of times we'll leave the upper left-hand corner blank. Okay, but you could put it, and you could put something in there if you wanted to. So typically we have our categories. These are going to be the items that we type in. They're going to go vertical, and then the time is going to go horizontal. Okay, the time will go horizontal. Just like when we looked at the soccer games here, the soccer games did what? We went from game 1 to kind of game 2, so this is like kind of chronological in time, or did like homework 1, homework 2, assessment 1, assessment 2, for January, February, March. So that usually represents time on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical one, those would be like categories or people or expenses or things like that. So let's say we put January here. I'm just going to put January. Okay. And then what do you think? What's an expense that we have in our budget? Okay. So what's like your number one expense you have?
New Year's Eve.
Well, not New Year's Eve.
Right.
Gas, but even before you're going to put in gas in what? Car, and where are you parking your car? Garage, right? All right, so let's say we have like, you know, house / apartment, okay? And then what's kind of like your guys' like, now notice when I type this in, what happened when I typed house and apartment? So I kind of went over, but that's okay as long as I don't do what? So watch what happens if I type something in January. So what's like an amount for rent or apartment? What do you guys think? $1,250, $2,000, let's say like $1,700. Anybody okay with that? All right, we'll say $1,700. Okay, what's another expense? Okay, electricity. Electricity. Okay, what's that? $100, $300. So you must live in the East County with an air conditioner. Okay, so let's say, what do you guys think? 120? 120. Okay, what else? So how are we getting around? Car. So we might have a car. Okay, and what's that a month? $350. Okay, $350. Okay, what else do we have? Insurance. So insurance for the house, insurance for the car. Both those combined together is probably what? $200-$300, somewhere around there. So we'll call it $250. Okay, what else do you have?
Phone bill.
Okay, you got phone. Okay, phone bill. So do we have a house phone or just a cell phone? Cell phone. Okay, so cell phone, what's that a month? Probably $120 for most people. Maybe a family plan or something like that. What else do we have? I'm getting hungry. Okay, so we have food. Okay, what's that a month? Probably about $500, $600, $700, somewhere in there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Feeding kids and dogs. We've got 3 big cats. So one cat's like 20-some pounds. Just a big girl. They have to eat specialty food too. So yeah, no, she's like a little bobcat. All right, what else do we have? Cable, internet. Okay, so what's that? Cable, internet. Yeah, that's good if you get for $50. Internet. Yeah, I'm just thinking like 120. Well, let's say 100. I think mine's like $90. We don't really have. All we have is like HD, no premium channels. It's HD. Okay, so Netflix. So let's talk about like, you know, we'll just group things into like what? Entertainment, like Netflix, eating out and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll just call this entertainment. Entertainment, and then what's that a month? Too much, right? Too much. We don't have enough. So let's say what? 400?
Whoa. Wow, I have your life.
300? What do you guys think?
I don't know, like 250.
250. All right. So Tanya's living lean and mean. All right. So we have these guys in here. Okay. So we have these items in here, and then so we added some items in here, and then let's maybe we're gonna call this expenses. Okay. So we'll call this expenses. Okay. So now let's look at what we can do here. So we're chopping off. So if you have something in the cell adjacent to it, then it's going to chop it off the second you put something in that cell. Okay. So what about if we wanted to see like everything that's in column A? How could we do that, Chad?
Just put the cells with your cursor and then double click.
Okay. So look at that. Chad went advanced on me here. He ate his Wheaties today. So let's just do this. We're gonna put it there. We're gonna drag over, and then it's like, yeah, it's there. It's there. It's like, yeah, I don't know. So there's one way we can do it, kind of dragging it over there. What's another way we can do it, Chad?
Split the cell with your cursor and then double click.
Okay, so we can use the auto fit and just right between here. You see that arrow now with the bar with the arrows? You double click, and then it automatically auto fits it. Okay. What about if we wanted to keep this consistent and make everything, I don't know, maybe 30? How can we do that? If we wanted to make it 30 wide. Not the lower right corner. You could right click this and you can say column width, and you can say make this so it says it's currently 1443. We can say 20. Okay, and that makes it 20 pixels wide or 20 characters. So you just right click and go to the contextual menu, and then you set the column width. Now another way, so just like anything in Word and everything else, there's always multiple ways to do this. So once you click on A here, you can also go into the cells group on the home tab, and you can click format, and then you could say, hey, make the row height a certain height, or auto fit it, or do the column width or auto column width, or the default width, which is I think is 8.43. We can hide and unhide and do a bunch of other things in here. Okay, so let's auto fit this guy here, and then let's turn you guys loose, and then why don't you guys type all this in? Okay, so we have expenses, we have January here. So we have house apartment. I'm going to make this bigger for you guys to see too. Okay, so let me make this nice and fat. Does that help you guys out? Okay. Okay, so we said the vertical is going to be like the categories, and we're going to horizontally go over like January, and then we're going to put February and everything else in here. Yeah. I forgot a big one in here. An A10. What happened maybe in January, December? January, let's say you registered for classes, right? So school. And maybe books. Okay, so school with probably what? So $46 times, let's say you're taking 12, we'll call it 50 times 12, and that was 600. And there was like 4 classes, so probably another 600 for books.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. Okay, so what's healthcare a month? Like probably $100, $200? No. You got the VA? Okay, let's say $100 for healthcare. Well, we'll call that entertainment and expenses, maybe. Do we have gas? Oh, we don't have gas up there. Golly, look at us. Yikes. It's expensive being here in Southern California, isn't it? Ooh, didn't want to do that. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Good? I'm sorry? Oh, how much for gas? I have no idea. My car's electric. I just plug it in. Literally, I have not bought gas in 2 years. I have no idea what gas costs a month. $50, $40?
Yeah.
A month?
Yeah. Probably.
What do you drive and where do you drive to?
I live in Walbrook, I drive a truck and go to school.
All right, so let's say what about the rest of us mere mortals that aren't living in our car?
$100 a month.
$100. So that's probably pretty not much, yeah. All right, so there we go. All right, so how's everybody doing? Anybody still typing? I know, right? It's like crazy when you start looking at these numbers. So this is what's so powerful about like doing a budget on here, seeing that visibility into things. We didn't even put credit cards in there either, did we? I don't know. People might be paying credit cards every month. I don't know.
One of the sins, alcohol and gambling.
That's an entertainment.
That's entertainment.
Most casinos don't go broke.
Yeah, so I call that entertainment. $250 doesn't give you much. I would say that gives you about 5-10 minutes. All right. Everybody has this? Anybody not have this? All right. So let's go talk about this now a bit. Okay. So we have expenses in here. Now, who wants to retype all this out again? No, right? So what's some of our choices? We can copy and paste. Okay. So how do we do that, Michael? Okay. So let's highlight B2. We could do this. Okay. So copies it over there. Can we copy more than one cell? Okay. So if we have more than one cell, I'm going to come back here. Okay. What is this called right here? Anybody know what that's called? Starts with an R. Not a row. R-A. And home on the range. Okay. This is a range of cells. Okay. This is a range of cells. And the way we write a range is that we use the number and a colon, and then another number. So for example, this would be B2 to B13. This is the top left. This is the bottom right. If we happen to be in the same column, the columns will be the same. The B's will be the same. If we happen to be in the same row, the numbers will be the same. So for example, what would the range be for these cells right here? Oh, I didn't want to do that. So what would this range be?
A1 to B13.
Not A1.
A2.
A2, okay? So this would be A2 to what? B13. That would be that range. Okay, does everybody see that? So that is a range. Okay, so we'll use ranges a bunch as we start doing things. Okay, so we're going to stop inking. All right, so then I'm going to erase some of the... okay, so get rid of all that right All right, cool. All right, so one way we can do is we can just copy one at a time. The other way we can do this is let's copy this over. So you notice once I did that, then what's a shortcut I just used there? Control C, right? So Control C. When I do it, you'll see kind of like the marching ants, the moving box. It's called the moving box, but I call it marching ants. Okay, so moving box is what it's called. Okay, you'll notice that that is active. And the second I did that, then guess what happened to our clipboard? It went from dark to now we have something on a clipboard. So it's kind of like I copied this and put it on a clipboard, and now I can take it around and paste it in places. Okay, so it's almost like the old days of taking scissors and cutting it and then pasting it. Okay, just like you did in school with glue and glue sticks and all that stuff. Okay, the dull-pointed scissors so you didn't kill each other. Okay, so now that this is copied, I could simply just go into C2 here, and I could do what? Okay, I can Control V. That's one way to do it. What's another way I can do it? I could right-click, and then I can paste. Okay, and this is like a whole bunch of different paste modes right here. So this is paste. I could paste just the formulas, that in the number formatting, or just the values, and here's other things in here. And even you can do like transpose. Okay, so watch this. If I wanted to, I could transpose this. And then it'll take it out there. So what happens is it transposes it. So it took the 17,123.50 and it went from vertical to horizontal. So sometimes you have things in like a row, and if you copy that and you transpose it, it'll make it vertical. Or you take something vertical and make it horizontal.
Yes. What would you ever use that for?
Because if you, let's say you had like the months going across, and let's say, you know, I wanted to make them vertical, and I do that, just that
So then
keeps
you
it.
change it. Or just the-
Well, let's see. So let me just grab these guys here. I'm just gonna. So here, this will make it easier. I just paste special and transpose. That'll just do that one. Okay, so you'll see that I transposed that. But let's say we wanted to put all these apartments. Let's say we wanted to put these instead of vertical. We wanted to make them horizontal. Okay, now they're all going across. So it might be that you want to rotate it around a little bit. All right, so that's another way we could do it. And then the other way we could do it is just hit paste right here. And if you hit this, this will also go into all those different modes. So multiple ways to do this, and then put this here. Okay, so now we have copied and now we have pasted this. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way we can do this is this whole concept called autofill. Okay, autofill. So if we click in, so I'm going to hit escape, and then there's 3 modes that this cursor goes into. Here is a selection mode. If you go on the border, this is called drag mode, where I could drag this over now. So I could just drag January over and put it like right here. Whatever is there, it's going to take it to there. It moves. So if there's something there, it just moves it. It just takes it, erases it from there, and puts it over to here. Okay? And I'm going to hit Control Z. And the other mode is autofill. Autofill, very powerful. Okay? Autofill will automatically move things over and copy it over. And this will use something called absolute and relative reference. We'll talk about that in a bit. So watch what happens when I drag over. So now see when I go to the lower right-hand corner. So everybody see this little box, that little square? Watch what happens when I get close to that. What did my cursor do? It went from a white plus to a what? To a black plus, okay? When you're in a black plus, this is called autofill mode. Watch what happens when I drag this over. Excel is so smart, it knows that January is like a month, February and March. Whoa, okay? So we could take that all over there, okay? Instead of copying, if we wanted to, we could have did the same thing. We could have autofilled and moved that over. Okay? So if we have this, then we can autofill over, and then it moved everything over for us. Okay? So I want you guys to go do that. So you're going to put these values in there. Or I'm sorry, you're going to copy 1700 to 100. And then actually, are we going to have books in school every month? Yeah, right? So we can zap that out of here and here. Okay. So probably in January, what happened to your entertainment? You probably had to cut your entertainment back to pay for school and books. Okay. Okay. So then you have a little bit. So you're kind of living like a monk that month. And then February, March, you can kind of save up and go on spring break or something. Okay. So are all these other ones the same every month? I don't know. Maybe like entertainment, maybe in March, you're doing what? Doing something for Easter or something like that. So maybe your entertainment is like $350. You go buy some new clothes, you're going out to dinner or something like that. Okay, so maybe that's $350. Okay, so zap out the books and the school for February, March, and then entertainment for March, you'll do $350. Stretching or question? Okay. So do that copy and then autofill the months over and see what happens. Autofill the months over. Pretty darn cool, isn't it, Terrence? Yeah. But we've been doing that in 120 though. Yeah. Yeah, so it's
Doesn't order your kids.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring it all up. All the numbers. Oh, you don't have to go. Okay. Now.
All right. So then maybe down here. All right, so I give people like another minute here. Check.
I put in so I double the volume of letters.
So if you did that, then you created a series. So if you did that, so then it's going to add 1,500 or it's going to add 2,000 each one of these guys. If you just did this, it'll keep it the same. But if you did that, if you trained it to do these two, then it's going to say the next series 1,500, 1,000, 1,500. So it'll add 2,000 all those, 150, and then whatever that series is.
So with that information, instead of just adding these two, I like it to continue adding. So there's 150.
Well, no, it's just going to do that. So you'd have to do another one and just do 600. If we can do 600, then it knows the double thing. No, it just doesn't. Yeah, you could do it. And you can just do a step series. So yeah, so that's probably beyond this class. But if you took the other Excel class and they would show you how to do a step series on the fill, and then you can do things like flash fill or do other things. And do the series, and then you could say, do things up or down or double it and everything else beyond this class. So, yeah. But if you want to, I can show you in hot cells. All right. So how's everybody doing? Good. All right. Cool. So let's lock these down. All right. So let's go over another couple things right here. All right. So let's say that the next thing we want to do now is we want to add all these up. Okay. So let's say we're going to put total in here. Okay, so how can we add these up? You can do what? So there's going to be two things we're going to discuss right now. We're going to discuss, when my pen comes back, the concept of formulas and the concept of functions. Okay, so we have formulas and we have functions. Okay, both of these guys start with equal sign. A formula is just going to have things like the cells in there that you're going to manually do. A function is going to be a predefined like instruction that's in Excel, and it's going to take things called arguments. Sometimes there's no arguments, and sometimes it takes arguments. So for example, if we wanted to, we could do what? We can say A2 plus what to add up all these guys? A2 plus A3 plus A4, okay? The other way we can do this is we can use something called the sum function. The sum function will take a range, and what would this range be to add these up? This is cell B2, B2 to B13. Excellent, Michael. So B12 to B2 to B13. Okay, so that's two ways we can do this. So, all right, so we can say equals this plus this plus this. I mean, this starts getting really tiring, right? Okay, so that gives us up to there. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do this is something called a function. If we look at editing, okay, we're going to see this auto sum. Okay, auto sum, if you click that, we'll put the sum down in there. If you hit the right arrow on auto sum, it'll say average or count the numbers or max and a min. These are like the most popular functions that are out there. Anything more than this, it'll take you to more functions, and it has like hundreds of functions. It has like most recently used, then each of the families. So if we do all, here's all the different functions that you can do in Excel. Okay. So let's do sum here. Okay, and then look what happens. It automatically grabbed and guessed what cells it wanted. So it grabbed that range for you. You have to watch this carefully. For example, if we had, instead of January, if we were doing this by years, and we said like 2014, 2015, 2016 at the top, it would have went all the way up and grabbed the year. So you always have to make sure when you're doing this that you watch what it grabs and it doesn't grab something you don't want to grab. Okay?
You have to have your like one of the cells highlighted, or does it just grab like the first?
So it will grab, so it'll look left and it'll look right. And on this one it said, all right, there's no numbers to the left or right, so I'm going to go up. And it's going to go up as far as until it hits the first space or it hits a letter.
I see. So the in B14 that the cell was highlighted. It was
Exactly. The cell is highlighted. The cell is highlighted. I hit that in there. Now, what you always want to do is check your math as well. So if I do this total here, and watch what happens when I grab my, so this is going to be called dragging my cursor here. And then look what happens down here at the bottom. Okay, everybody see this? This is very key. This will tell you the sum, the count, and then the average by dividing these two together. So this is a way you can kind of check your math on Excel a lot of times. It doesn't always work, but anytime you're doing like an average or a count or a sum, then you can just quickly do it here. If these two don't match, then you know you did something wrong. Okay? Your formula is off. So it's a way to double check yourself. So don't blindly just, sometimes students will like put a number in there, they got a number, move on next. So always double check yourself when you can, okay? So here we have the total, and then guess what we can do here? Well, we pulled out the two, well, no, we need the 600s here.
Only for that month.
Only for that month, right? Yeah. Okay, so now we can come over, and then we can autofill over, and we have 3580, and then over here we had 3680 because we gave ourselves an extra $100 for Easter. We're not buying books this month. Okay. Cool stuff, right? Oh, I thought you guys weren't. Are you not locked? Oh, you're not locked. Darn. All right. All right, so yeah, so now go try. All right, so I'll let you guys try now. All right, so go ahead, Tanya, what were we going to do?
And B, C, and D14 have equal sum and then parentheses and 2 to B13.
So you typed it out manually? Yeah, don't type it out. I mean, you can type it out manually, but use the wizards. The wizards are much better. So in B14, what you're going to do is you're going to do this auto sum right here, and then that's going to pull up the range for you.
You could change the range.
And if you could change a range, if I wanted to, for whatever reason, let's say I only wanted my range to be right there, then now I adjusted it to B10 to B13. And then if I want to increase it with this highlighted, then I can just like go back over these numbers, or I can, sorry, you can double click in here, and then now you can just stretch this back up. Okay? Now adjust your range. And once you get that, then now you can drag it over. Earl. Oh, you got it? Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, so that's awesome, Earl. So Earl's like in the next week. So I like the way you're thinking. So one of the ways we can do this, so let's talk about this really quick. So what happened here is, why did this work? Why did this work? So does everybody have this? Anybody not have this? You guys should probably have it by now. All right, so let's talk about and answer Earl's question here. So the way this worked is through this whole thing called, so this is something you guys have to write down, okay? You have to write down, you have to know referencing. There's 2 referencings that we'll do in this class. There's absolute reference and there's relative reference. Absolute reference and relative reference. And the way this works is that in a cell, if you have a formula, if you go right to left, the numbers stay the same, but the letters will increase and decrease. If you go to the right, the letters increase. If you go to the left, the letters decrease. Vertically, the letters stay the same, and the numbers will increase or decrease. So for example, if on this cell we wanted to do the range what? What do we want this range to be when we did our sum? We wanted B2 to B13, okay? If we went to C14, what would we want that range to be? C2 to C13. What about for March? D2 to D13. So when we auto-filled, guess what Excel did? It took B13, B12, and see the B12 and the B13 there? This is the most annoying thing about Zoom. So it took B2 to B13, and if we moved it over, we said the numbers, so if you go right and left, we said the numbers will stay the same, but what happens to the letters? If you go 1 over, B goes 1 up to C. Okay, so that made it C2 to C13. If we go 1 more over, C becomes D. Okay, so this is this is relative referencing. Next week, we'll talk about absolute referencing when we start talking about orders of operation. That'll become somewhat key for us. Okay, so let's validate this. So we drug this over. It did, in fact, make the B2 to B13 and the C2 to C13. Okay, and then it made the D, and then 1 more over, it made that C into a D. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to erase this a bit. And let's look at what happens if we do it vertically. Okay, so let's say we wanted to come over here and we wanted to do a total, a min, a max, and an average. Okay. So how can we do this? What do you guys think? How can we get the total right here for this row? So the first thing we'd always do is do what? Okay, so the first thing we do is like, we can do, so here we can say, let's do this. We could say equals this plus this plus this. Okay, so that's one way to do it. And is this a formula or a function? Formula, right? Okay. If we wanted to use a function, we can use what? Sum, right? So we just use auto sum, and since that's the one we wanted, we click here. Okay, and then it's smart enough to say, all right, I'm going to go over to January, and we look, yep, that looks reasonable. B2 to D2. Okay, and we're going to click on OK. So this is our total. Okay, let's find the min, the max, and the average. So how do you think we'd find a minimum of these numbers? Okay, equal sign min, but you can always just, so we don't have auto sum, and we said if we don't want to sum, the next thing we do is what? We hit that drop down, and do we see min in here? Yep. So we hit min. Now watch what happened this time. What did it grab? B2 to E2. So do we want to have that total in there?
No.
So what we can do is with the marching ants, we're just going to do B2 to D2 and adjust that. Okay? We're going to tab over. Let's go find the max here. Okay? So how are we going to do that? It's not a sum. Here, max, and then now it grabbed all these guys. So we just want January through March. Okay? And then average, where are we going to get that? Not a sum here. So now we have average. Okay? And we want to get the average of these guys right here.
Is there a way of stopping it at March?
No. No. It automatically tries to guess. So, yeah. All right, so now what can we do? We have all these numbers. We can do what? What do you guys think?
Project out your annual
I'm,
cost.
I'm sorry?
Project out your annual cost.
Well, we could project out our annual cost. So we could do what? We could just do our total times 4 here since it's 4 quarters. But what about if we wanted to fill this down? What can we use? Autofill. Okay, so how do we get that? We said this is drag mode, regular mode, and then where's autofill? Bottom right. So make sure you don't. So what happens when people start learning autofill is they'll get autofill crazy. When they mean to drag, they'll autofill, and all their numbers will go, boom, what happened to my numbers? So be careful with autofill, and only use it when you want to use autofill, and don't substitute dragging for autofill. So before we do this, what do you expect this formula to do if we autofill? It's going to be sum B2 to D2. What's it going to go? What do you think it's going to be here? Okay, it's going to be relative referencing. So since we're in the same column, our letters going to change? So in the same column, our letters aren't going to change, but what's going to change? So B2 to D2 should be what? So we said the letters are going to stay the same. So B2 will go to B3, and D2 will go to D3. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So we can double click. Oh, there had a break in there. Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, so this was smart enough. So you can do it 2 ways. You can either drag this down, or Excel's smart enough to know that, hey, this is a total down here at the bottom. So if you double click, it knows it just take it down to there. Okay. So that's kind of cool, right? So let's validate this. So D3 to C3, and it did all that for min and everything in here. That's kind of cool, right? All right, so you guys go do this. Hey, how's everybody doing? Was that good or no?
Also help.
Oh, help?
Can you change it back to the
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Let me change it back. So total min, max, average. Okay, so you're gonna do min, max, average, and once you get them in there, good, drag it down.
We still have missing 2,600. All the way down, all the way down.
How's it going? You're good? Excellent, good. Good, camera good? Okay, so let's see how you're doing. Okay, good, right? So now let's hit enter. Okay, and then now go ahead and do the maximum then. So it's probably easier if you just expand it all the way out. So just expand that screen all the way out. Let's see if you can expand it out. Oh, Larry, what are you doing, man?
Cleaning it up.
Oh, okay, let's, all right. All right, so now you get the total and everything else. Yes.
Is average not a variation?
I'm sorry?
Is average not a variation?
It's average.
No, it's actually
Yeah, don't
total
type,
down.
don't type it in.
Is it okay?
That's up there, let's look here.
But average isn't, there's no aggregation.
Forward out, yeah, but always use the wizard. You'll get yourself in trouble if you don't use the wizards. Yep.
Is the minimum between the minimums of house and apartment, is it between B2 and D2?
B2 to D2, correct, yes. Okay, how's everybody doing? Good? All right, so once you're done, I want you to work with your partner, work with the person next to you, and think about what you can use. So spend like 2 minutes talking about what you can use a spreadsheet for. Okay, so talk to your neighbors, and then talk about what you can use a spreadsheet for. And then for the last 10 minutes of class, I want you to actually go build that spreadsheet. So talk about for the next 2 or 3 minutes, like what you can use a spreadsheet for. So here we did a budget. Because you did it all the way over. So your brain went from B2
Business.
do that. So we need to first you to do the formula. And max. Okay, now this is automatic. We'll just pull all of them. So just do subtract from B2 to So maybe like sports scores, or maybe Tanya's tracking her livestock weights of horses or something like that for 4-H. So talk about it with the people next to you.
I feel like
How come we got a 600? Okay, yeah.
So maximum.
Yep.
And how do you know?
So just now just figure out so you want it to be, but you don't want to include many of those areas.
I haven't got the door yet.
So you do every single row?
Yeah, just do so the min and then average. Okay, so then how are you going to do average?
So, we get it?
Right there, then do average, and then what cells you want to have in your average. Just drag your cursor over to the cells you want to include in that average. Not all of them, just that cell you just want to include these cells in the average, right? So which one? So just grab B2 and then drag over. No, not auto. Say you're going to get auto. You're going to get auto for half the hours.
I'm under them, not on.
Okay, so now you're just going to say that range. Then once you have all this, now you can
Still left it there.
Yeah, that's what you do.
I don't work at
go one up. No? There you
I like getting it, but I
go. Okay, so how it works is basically saying that this total is going to be the total of all these cells. Okay, this is going to be the minimum of these three cells. What's the minimum? Okay, so let's get down here. What's the minimum? 0. But it didn't do the. Those are blank cells. So it didn't say.
It's basically
All the cars.
See when I did that.
Just as 1 month.
Okay. Then it's in the max of 600 in the average.
So then we can
Well, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily pull up the max.
it's great.
So here, when we did the absolute reference, it's the minimum to D2
Like all of
to
these.
D2 to D2. And this cell would be what would be the range? What would be the D2 from the next cell down. Oh, I see. Yeah, you have to autofill there. But it's on the same column. It kept the columns, it kept the letter the same, and it moved the number.
Oh yeah. Just go ahead and
If you went right and left, then kept the numbers the same, but the letters, so B's and C's this way. When you went up and down, 2s and 3s like that. Okay. All right. So talk about it with okay. So now go create. So what kind of spreadsheets did you guys come up with? What did you guys come up with? What kind of spreadsheet to track? Track what?
Well,
Okay, so use for gaming, right? Like everybody listen up. Everybody listen up. So Earl and Brian were doing something for gaming. AJ and Brian, what did you guys come up with?
that's true.
Okay, so your Ant's business stats. Okay, so Ant's business stats. Kathy and AJ, what did you guys come up with? So did you guys have a chance to talk? What kind of spreadsheets did you guys come up with? Camping on vacation. All right. So go create a new sheet. Go create a new sheet and go start creating that spreadsheet. So click the plus right here, and then work with your partner to go create what it's going to be. So hit the plus and start like a new whatever spreadsheet it's going to be. So click the plus. Oh. So you just do that. Okay, so on this one, B2 to B13 became C2 to C13 because we went left and right. The numbers stay the same, the letters go up and down. Yeah, here, the letters stay the same, but the numbers go up and down. Okay, go. All right, so start making your spreadsheets. Make your spreadsheet with the person next to you. All right, so now go. So quickly talk about like some spreadsheets you make. So remember on your spreadsheets that you create, the horizontal, the left to right is going to be what typically? That's going to be like some time component. Okay, it's going to be some time component. Okay, up and down is going to be like the categories, or the items, or the people.
No, well, yeah.
So what spreadsheet are you guys doing? Okay. Okay, so maybe you do like, so maybe like month 1 or January or February, something like that. Okay, good. Hey, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Excellent. Good. All right, what are you guys working? Okay, sports apps. Excellent. Good. Brandon, win loss. Yeah. Well, it'd be like more like, it'd be more like, you know, you guys do like week 1, week 2, week 3. Yes.
You don't want this as much.
Okay, so make sure your left to right has some like time component to it. Like week 1, week 2, homework 1, homework 2.
There.
Yeah, you can use tab.
That's what I
I don't know. It's just too bad. I don't know.
All right, so how you guys doing? Good? Okay, so good. All right, so I'm starting to see some good spreadsheets in here. To do that, maybe do like a min, a max, and an average. What are you working on, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, good. Good, I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you working on, Kathy? Grades, okay. So Kathy, what do you work on, Angel? Grades, okay, cool, good. And what are you guys working? Okay, so looks like you guys are doing vacations. Okay, good. All right, good. So you got some people working on, so let's see what everybody's doing here. So let's pull up and take a look. Let's see, we have someone here. Oh, that's me, or no? Let's see. Let's see, we got somebody doing, looks like some sales or something like that. So what are you guys doing, Terrence and Chad?
We're just doing sales per month.
Okay, sales per month. Okay, so you're running a business here. Good, excellent. All right, so let's see. So it looks like we're going on vacation, June, July. So camping maybe, looks like camping, food, flights, and other things. Good. Let's see what else. Okay, grades, calculating grades for Spanish computer class and art. Good. All right, let's see, what else do we have? Running a business here, so we're working rent, insurance, healthcare. So I think that's Brian and AJ back there. Good, excellent. All right, so you guys kind of get the feel for this, for what we're doing here? All right, cool. Excellent, so keep working for like another minute, and then just post this in. Post what you have into Blackboard. It's fine if you don't, if only one. So post what you have. If you're working with for Chad and Terrence, I'll know that Chad worked with Terrence here.
Yeah. Like,
Good, yes. I like Yeah. It's my first time. Yeah. All right, so why don't you guys wrap up? If you want to, so just post what you have into Blackboard now. Okay, good. So good work today. Appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody trying to get on time. So try to get the the warm up completed. So there's you probably did about 1/3 of the warm up, and there's probably 2/3 left. So I'm probably going to say it's going to take like an hour or so to do that second part. And also you're going to have the warm up due on Wednesday. So my advice is start working the warm up now for Monday, and then that way you're going to have time on, between then and Wednesday to get warm up 1 for Excel 2. Okay. So Monday, Excel warm up 2 is due, and then Wednesday, Excel warm up 1 will be ready. So save this and post this into Blackboard. Say what you have and post into Blackboard.